Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Epic 7. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 things you should be doing. And this is for people preferably between the rank of like 30 to 55, but if you're further than that, you can probably still get a lot out of this. And it's so many things that I keep seeing people do wrong, even at later stages in the game. So hopefully the more I say this, the more people understand and the more people are successful within the game. Just for an example, this is my alt we're looking at today. You can see a lot of these things I mentioned in this video done on this alt, and it's definitely what helped bring me to the higher stages of the game, as in like 70 pluses in Abyss, most of the bosses down in Raid, and all sorts of things like that. Okay, so the first one here, and again, I'm sorry if I've said these things a billion times over, but I just have to keep saying them because people don't always go back to old videos and then they miss out and they're like, hey Mango, can you make this video? And it's like, well, I made it 4 times already. They're like, well, can you make it again? And this is what we end up with. So the first thing you need to do is do not miss your gear out on the lab. I cannot even count how many accounts I try to help and they're stuck in the lab. They're not really doing much. Their characters don't do any damage. Nothing really happens. Their healers can't tank. All sorts of things like that, and it's just frustrating to me and really sad. So there's a pretty easy way to figure out, without going through guides, to figure out how to get stuff from the lab and where things might be. This is pretty much true for all labs, all sorts of mazes, everything in this game, and that's just to analyze the map. So if we analyze this map here, there are a ton of different things. There are like what looks to be dead ends over here. There's what looks to be dead ends over here. There are darker stages, which are usually warp points or something like that, or ways you turn. There's a lot of stuff, but there's really one spot here, or 2-ish spots that kind of stand out. The first spot is right over here. We can see there is just one little empty corner there with nothing else there. And we can see right over here too. There's one little empty spot with nothing else there. Both of these are going to be chests. At least I think this bottom one is. I know this one is up here. The one up there is going to be the Ubrid's Neck, I believe, which is just such a big strength increaser to your account. So if you have not gone to 1.5, even if you're rank 60, it's still a viable neck at rank 60. If you have not gone to get Ubrid's Neck there, you really should go get it, like right now. And there's one piece of gear pretty much for every single zone. So we'll go to 1.4 here. And let's take a look at the map. And looking at this map here, you should be able to tell with what information I just gave you where there's a possible chest or two. So pause the video if you can. Make sure you understand how this works, because this is how you're not going to miss stuff in the future. And as we can see, there are 3 places that are possibilities here. One is right here. There's a little dead end here. One is right here, there's a dead end there, and one is up there. So I think the one up there is a key item to progress through, and I think the other 2 are chests. So there's definitely places in that one to get. I forget which piece of gear is in there, but it should be an Ubrid's piece. And the same goes for the second lab as well. So let's go to zone 2, let's go to zone 2-3. I don't remember what this looks like, but it's very much easy to figure out where the drops are here. So we'll just go for map again, and we can see and open it up, and we can see what looks to be a couple places here. So there's a couple endings behind doors here, which are usually warp points. Sometimes they're chests, but in general I find those ones to be warp points. But then there's this one here. There's just an empty little spot with the dead end there, and there's a dead end over here. So I'm going to place bets that right here is a chest and right here is a chest. And one of them is going to be sky stones usually, and the other is going to be your sacred armor or whatever it is at this place. So the lab 2 is where you get your sacred hero pieces. One of them is going to be your ring. And when it gets like this, stuff gets a little more confusing, as you can see here. But you can still pretty much get an idea of where things are just by looking at this. We can see a dead end down here. It's possible there's something there. We can see a dead end over here. possible something there. And overall, you can just get a good idea of where to get stuff. So I'm going to leave it at that. I will be doing in the future a full-on guide of where all of these pieces are, because it needs to happen sometime. I know there's some out there already, but a lot of them are not in English, and it just makes it not a pleasant experience. There's also gear in the overworld too. I think one of the best ones is in 10.3. Basically anything with a maze style thing is going to have a chest in it, and we can see a chest or a little blip over to the side here. That's going to be a chest. I think those are Pegasus boots, one of the best boots you can get early game, one of the things a lot of people should have plus 15. Another good example of this is 9.7, I think it is. Yeah, 9.7 is another one here. So we'll go into here, and again, we can see it's a maze because of that symbol you can't see because there are big hammers in the way. But if we take a look at the map again, we will see a little blip over here, and that is where a chest is going to be. And I'm going to show you one more just because I feel like if I don't show you, you're not going to go check. But we can go to 9.4 now, I think it is. We can see the maze symbol here. We can go into it. And this is like the most important thing, by the way. This is where so much of your gear comes from early game. We can see another blip here, and that is the Dragon Scale Armor, which is one of the best attack chests you can get early game. Okay, so now that you have your gear from the lab, let's take a look at the next one. And that is have a DPS with that gear. That gear is so powerful. And I'm going to give you a good example of this. That is on my alts account, my Chloe. So my Chloe is basically decked out in that gear I was talking about. We've got the Uber's Neck, which is in 1.5, and it doesn't matter how this rolls, it's still fantastic. Really easy to upgrade to. You preferably want all the crit damage, all the attack, but health and defense works too. You also get the Ring of a Sacred Hero, and every account, I think, should have both of these leveled up to 15 and be on your DPSer. This is in the second lab, and then there's Pegasus boots here, which are in 10.3, I believe. We just talked about, and that's another fantastic enabler. Pretty much most accounts should have this at plus 15 as well. And then we have the Dragon Scale Armor, another one of the ones I talked about. In general, this one's pretty good. It comes with health, speed, and crit. Unfortunately, mine rolled flat HP and then rolled flat HP again, so I haven't upgraded it more, but most people will get a decent piece of armor from that. And then there is the Uberid Spear. This is such a good early weapon. You get it on the very first lab you do. You can plus 15 it really easy. It's just got overall solid stats that you'll use for a while. It's not the greatest, but still solid at this point. And finally, you have the Hat of Miracles, which was from the Christmas event. But if you did not get the Hat of Miracles, you could use Uberids instead, which is, again, from the very first area. And that is this one right here. Unfortunately, mine rolled pretty atrocious, but it's still good enough to use at the early stages. So you should always have one DPS with sort of this set on IMO, just because it's such a solid set. Brings everybody to a decent amount of speed, 100%-ish crit, and a good amount of attack. So really, really happy with this, and it's so important to upgrade them, the right side pieces there. And next up is always be sending out for ancient coins and conquest points. So this is one I say so many times, but so many people don't do it. It is such a huge boost to your power level. Sending these out for ancient coins and conquest points, I would personally recommend sending out conquest points until you get the first piece. But that might change in 3 days as of this video because we may be getting new pieces soon. And then everything else into ancient coins. And then what you spend those on are, in ancient coins here, all you want to buy are ring charms and necklace charms. You never, ever, ever want to buy the accessory charms. It's just not worth it. These pieces are just so much better. And what do you know? Greater ring charms and greater necklace charms, they upgrade those pieces we just talked about. They upgrade your Uberids, they upgrade your Ring of the Sacred Hero plus 15, super easy, and then your power level is through the roof. Like the difference between a DPS using like a plus 6 neck, ring, and boots versus a DPS that's using a plus 12 to plus 15 neck, ring, and boots is just monstrous. So that is where the vast majority of your power level is. A lot of people come to me and say, Mango, I've had such bad luck with gear, I can't beat Abyss 30. And they don't realize that they have all the gear for free in the game they need to beat all the way up to 80. So if they just upgrade everything, equip it right, they can usually get through things no problem. And next up is the Conquest Points. And again, this is going to change in about 3 days. But in my opinion, the Gladiators token ring is one of the biggest power level increases you can get for free on your account. This is 50% attack on max. Yes, it's a health set, but that does not matter. Yes, it's got defensive subs, but that doesn't matter. It's got 50% attack. Super, super huge. And what do you know? It's a ring, so you can even upgrade it with your ring charms. So the second DPS set I build is usually with that ring. So I have my first DPS like this with my attack set and my crit set. And then I have my second DPS set usually built with my Abyss. So I will either have one person with an Abyss set. This is the 57 Abyss set, imagine. And then I have like the PvP ring for 50% attack if I want. Or I just go with the second crit set. But the Abyss set you get through Abyss is fantastic on another DPSer. But usually I just use the ring anywhere as a broken set on one of my DPSers. And the reason why I'm using this here instead of a crit ring, for example, is because we're already at 98% crit. Having a crit set does absolutely nothing to her at this point, so there's no reason not to do it. And next up is always be playing. And that sounds really stupid, but a lot of people spend their stamina and then don't. I say that with 190 stamina. I don't know how I have that much. A lot of people spend their stamina and then leave the game and don't play anymore for the day. And that's not going to get you very far. And I know not everybody wants to play a lot, but if you want to get ahead and you're the type of person looking on how to get ahead on this game, you really need to always be playing. And when you're always playing, you get gold, you get fodder, you get everything. It doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as you're spending your gold, or spending your stamina and gaining XP for your fodder, you're always gaining that gold in the background. So I would really recommend using your leaves or your sky shards. I personally use my sky shards for refreshing your stamina and then just playing as much as you can. A lot of people just shut down the game, and that's okay if you want to shut down the game. A lot of people are like, darn, I wish I had more stamina to play, and then they just don't refresh. This is the type of person I'm talking to right now with this comment. So just super important to keep that going, because that is how you get your power level and your ranks. And you can really see how much you're playing by what rank you are. I feel like if you've been playing for a decent amount of time and you're still not ranked 60, you're definitely not playing enough to get strong enough fast enough, if that makes sense. So if you're like, why am I not strong yet? And you're sitting there at like rank 44, and that is probably your problem. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward if you want to play the game a little more. And finally, always be leveling fodder. Goes with number 1. I guess that's kind of 2 at once. So that's kind of cheating. So let's go with another 5 instead. And we're going to talk about a healer then. Because I think every account should kind of be having that basis of 1 to 3 DPS with their DPS sets. And then there's the healer. And people aren't really sure what to do with the healer. So the healer that you need, or your tank, is super dependent on when you started playing the game. If you have Ring of a Million, if you have Azamanus' armor, if you have, sorry, I'm testing out Aether right now, if you have Sock of Small Miracles, you have a good to go healer set, no problem. Any healer is going to do it. You just equip your Sock, you equip your ring, you equip your chest, and any other speed piece, and then anything else for the other 2. And you super have a setup healer with Prophetic Candle or whatever you want to do. But if you do not have those ready, that's when things get difficult. This is where I'm really crossing my fingers with the next arena update we get, that we do get a defensive HP percent or even defense percent ring or necklace for healers, because it'll really help newer players. And getting your healer in the front line with all sorts of HP percent gear is just so imperative. And we also see this piece here. This is a horn helmet. I honestly don't remember where this comes from, but this comes from the world somewhere in one of those labs we showed. And this is just a base helm that comes with health, defense, and speed. Just a really solid speed set enabler for most new players. And another set people can use on their healers is the Gladiator set. The Gladiator helm is a fantastic choice for all healers You really want your points to go into health, defense, or speed. Any of it is great. And honestly, that's pretty much the only really good piece for healers, because you don't really want the chest, because the chest is going to give you no speed and just a bunch of tanky stats, and that's not as important. We really want speed, so that's why I like grabbing stuff with speed here, and that's why this armor is just bonkers. So if you have this, you're at a super duper duper advantage. But yeah, I think I've talked about all I can here. I hope I've covered everything I can get, everything I can cover. I will be posting a video in the near future with every single piece of gear I think you guys need to have, and hopefully I can make this easier for you guys, because I know there's gear just spread out everywhere. That's why I really try to enforce and show how things are found instead of where things are, because that way when you're playing the game you won't miss it as you go through. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped a lot of people out. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye now.